All right, good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always, with me today is Mr. Jake Peters, and we are PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast, and this is episode 268. And this is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. But before we get on the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome. And if you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PSN, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at jakesaw01. As always, you can write us at psthisisawesome@gmail.com. And most importantly, don't forget to share this show with your friends. Make sure to leave comments and rate our podcast as you see fit. And as a reminder, this is a video podcast, so you can watch the show if you want. So if you've been listening on your preferred podcasting platform, you can actually go subscribe to that YouTube channel and watch us every week do the podcast if you prefer. For new and or long-time listeners, we have a Patreon. You can support our show for $1 a month. The level is called the One and Only $1 Club. Head over to www.patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome, and we'll mail you one of these free die-cut vinyl stickers in the mail, and we'll give you a shout-out on the show. And for $1 a month, it goes a long ways in helping us keep this show kind of running as consistently and, as efficiently as possible. So we do appreciate our patrons out there, and we hope to see some more of you jump on when the time is right for you. But yeah, Jake, with that out of the way, how are you feeling and how are you doing today?
This podcast might sound like shit because it already seems like there's latency issues. So
I'm not getting any of that over here. But
okay,
but thank you.
As long as you're hearing me. If you're hearing me okay, that's fine because you're recorded locally because you sound kind of jumbly a little bit on my side.
Oh.
Not enough I can't understand you, but just a smidge. Keeping you aware.
Thank you.
Anywho, I'm doing okay. I had a really long week. I had some really kind of crazy work shit going on, and then I had a hockey game last night, so I was up late, and so I'm a bit out of sorts today. Just kind of vegging, which is really uncommon for me. Usually on the weekends I'm trying to do stuff, but I just didn't have any energy today. So I've been playing some video games. But other than that, not a whole lot.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm happy to hear that you're seemingly doing well and that you have a lot of shit going on. You know, I guess that's not good, but it is good to get through it when you have it. You know, I've always kind of found that the crazier my work weeks are, the more appreciative I am of the weekend, but it does feel good to push through those barriers. In work life, I don't know, but very good, man. I've not had a very eventful week. I'm still sick. I'm still on antibiotics. I don't know if they're actually even helping. It might not have even been a situation where I needed the antibiotics. But for those who don't know, my band, One If by Land, had a concert last night. We're recording this on Saturday. We usually record the podcast on Saturday, but it is the 18th of March, 2023, for the sake of posterity. And we played last night at a place in Erie on St. Patty's night. And the place was called Jekyll and Hyde's. And that place is not equipped to handle a band like us. We played on the floor, which I don't mind doing. You know, we don't need a stage. I'm more than okay with that aspect of things. But it was elbow to asshole, as they say, as far as people. And, typically that's a good thing. But in our situation, it was really annoying because we had a lot of trouble. We have a lot of fucking gear. I mean, we had half stacks. We were, first of all, way louder than I think anybody wanted us to be. but I don't think anyone cared. There was actually a couple that were like, "Oh, it's about time fucking to see a real band," you know. Like I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah," and they were like older, so I didn't expect that from them. But yeah, man, it was awesome. We had a really good time. But the problem is I wasn't fully over my cold yet, or whatever this is. And you know, the way that I sing and the way that we perform, it did me no favors in healing. So I just feel run down. I feel like I haven't gotten the proper rest. You know, Sundays, you and I have been doing the Last of Us podcast, and that wrapped up, which I'm really happy about the way that whole thing went. It was a good experiment. We met Monday's been doing it. Sorry, watching the show Sunday nights. So, and it didn't necessarily air. The Last of Us HBO series doesn't air until 9 o'clock at night. So there's really no rest. And, you know, we're both early birds when it comes to going to work. Like I'm up at 6 a.m. So, you know, and then work all day, get back, and we record the episode on Monday. So I have not had much rest. The show was good though. And, we're going to keep this podcast a little shorter for the listeners. I was combing through some news points and whatnot, but I haven't really found a whole lot. And I don't think we did have a request Played by Ken a while back. We'll get to that with listener feedback. But outside of that, man, I just have not been doing a whole lot except for resting. I did start gaming a little bit today, you know. I worked all day yesterday and then I had to prepare and drive out to Erie for that gig. So, and we were out till I didn't get home till 1 a.m. And I actually slept in until 9, and I couldn't believe it because usually on any given day, I'm up before 8 o'clock and I can't help it. I'm just up because I have this nagging urge to just, you know, we don't have kids, but just this urge to fucking hit the ground running. There's just too much shit that I want to do. So I slept in till 9 today, a little bit after. So I'm feeling rested from that, but I still have this congestion stuff. My voice sounds a little better. I'm sure the listeners can tell. But I still don't feel top notch. I've had some communication with LJ, my buddy Mike. We're making progress on the One Up by Land album art. Man, it's looking sweet. I have one more song to sing, and I just can't do it in the state that I'm in right now, especially after playing last night. So that's kind of where I'm at in life. Just, you know, trudging through the steps. We were going to take all of this upcoming week off, Chelsea and I, off of work because we were going to have this, we were going to gut our bathroom. And we have a full bathroom, and then we have a quarter bathroom. And the full bathroom is what we're getting renovated. And all I wanted was to have someone who knows what the fuck they're doing put a tub in and then put a vent fan in. And because we only have one place to shower, and we can go to our parents or whatever, they live close enough. But I wanted to get those two things just kind of done kind of quick. So this guy came and he was going to give us a quote. Yet, long story short, we were going to take all this upcoming week off work to gut everything out of there. And they were going to come after the week was over, preferably. That was the plan. And the dude just fucking went MIA on us. So it's a good thing we didn't do anything yet. And this is the same dude that did our roof and stuff. So I trust him. He knows his stuff. He's good. You know, in Northwestern PA, a lot of Amish people do a lot of work. You know, they're contracting and they're quick. This is how they make their living. A lot of the men. Ow, jeez, there goes my neck. Jesus, sorry. Oh, I'm fucking sore. But that fucking hurt. Hit a nerve. I'm sure that sounds awesome on the podcast. Holy shit. But yeah, man, I'm just getting old. But anyway, so I'm not taking off of work next week, dude. So nothing exciting to report on. You know, we're just playing it by ear. So I'm not ripping that bathroom apart until I know that I'm going to have a tub relatively soon afterwards. So, because I'm one of those people who take at minimum 2 showers a day. I like to fucking be clean, dude.
That's I have always been a big fan of taking showers. It's really bad for your skin. But
yeah.
So I started if I can unless I'm like stinky or dirty. Like if I take a second shower, usually it's just a quick like no soap. I just rinse off and thaw out and stuff, and then because the hot water alone dries your skin out, but if you are sudsing up 2 or 3 times a day, it makes it worse whenever you can't shower because your body's used to getting rid of it, so you produce extra shit.
Yeah, there's nothing like hitting your body with sandpaper 3 times a day and hot water, scalding water. But there is something to be said about taking a nice, long, warm shower in the wintertime in this area. Like, it's so relaxing. Like, I've made a habit to shower before I go to bed in the evenings because it just knocks me the fuck out.
I can't. I can't shower right before bed. I can shower like maybe an hour or so before bed, but if I shower right before bed, I just sweat in bed. I can't. My body temp because I shower with. I literally like the water so hot that I can barely even stand to come into contact with it. And so when I get out of the shower, my blood is so hot that when I get in fucking bed, I'm just sweating the whole time. So I need to like cool off before I crawl right into bed.
That's so funny, man. I don't know why every time we do this podcast, the layout is slightly different each time. I don't know what's going on. Like on OBS, I'm looking at it and like I'm trying to grab.
My camera got moved.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
All right, maybe that's part of it then. It's not a big deal. I'm trying to get it readjusted. It's just fucking like OBS. Like, like here's the thing that I don't understand that computers, like if anyone does anything with computers, and we'll get into video game talk in a second, like you guys can see me slow, if you're watching the YouTube channel, me slowly adjusting and pulling Jake's little window here so that it lines up right or close enough to being right. I've got a couple screens up on my computer when we do the podcast. I got the notes, I've got OBS, I've got Discord. So it's just kind of funny because you can't nudge shit in some programs. Like you can't just like tap it over a scotch. Like it's like it just wants to go. Oh, maybe you can. If you use the arrow keys, you can. Ah, look at this. I just learned something. I talked my way through this one. But yeah, anyways, let's get to fucking video game talk, man. Let's quit wasting our time and our listeners' time today. So that's how we're doing. That's the intro for the show. Let's just go right into games that we're playing, Jake, this week. I've already kind of told the listeners where I'm at in life. I've just started gaming again after a sabbatical. No choice of my own. I just haven't felt well. But we know the video games will be there for me whenever I'm ready for them. So I am about 25 hours now into Mass Effect 3. And I think I'm getting pretty darn close. Without spoiling anything, I don't. In the way that you do the missions in this game, like who fucking knows? This is not even an indicator of how far I am in the game. But I just found Legion again. So I don't know if that tells you anything. But and then Streets of Rage 4, I popped a trophy. I was not the plat, but here's my little thing here. You can see I have it circled. I put it up on the YouTube channel because I want to start loading shit in. We talk about pictures and stuff. So I have 1,000 silver trophies now, which is awesome. There you go, viewers. You can look at that. Read them and weep. 1,000 for me. Silver trophies. But the thing of it is like I was sitting there and I was like, what's a fucking game? Because I was laying down, I wasn't feeling great, and I talked about Streets of Rage 4 and how good it was. So I went back to look at the trophies that I needed, and I needed to play through the entire game single player with the character Floyd, and you have to play it through with all of the standard characters for Streets of Rage 4, each one through the game to pop their individual trophy. The only one I hadn't done it with yet was Floyd, who's kind of like a big tanky kind of guy with robotic arms, and he's kind of like Zan. If you're familiar with Streets of Rage 2, I think, or Streets of Rage 3, but he's just a fucking beast, and I had a game saved at like stage 7, and I'm like, oh, I must have already started this playthrough trying to get Floyd. But when you go to load up a game in Streets of Rage, it doesn't tell you, you know, maybe it does if I looked hard enough, but I just presumed that this was my playthrough of Floyd. So I just picked Floyd and played from 7 the way through. And the trophy didn't pop. And I'm like, fuck. So then I had to play stages 1 through 6 as Floyd. So I must have loaded the wrong save because I had another save that was like stage 4. So anyways, long story short, I popped it. I have two trophies left. I have over 2.3 million points in this game. When another trophy will pop when I hit a total of 5 million. So I have to play a fuck ton more. But I'm willing to do it because the game's fun. And then the only other trophy I have, the Platinum Streets of Rage 4, is I have to beat every level on hard mode I have to get S rank on hard mode or harder. Yeah, that's what it is. And that's going to be a bitch. So I'm destined to do it, man. I'm determined to do it, but I haven't yet. My goal was to jump back into Moss Book 2 today. I didn't get around to putting the headset on just because. Spent the day hanging out with the dog, doing some 3D printing, finished up my Cursed City box set, painted all that. I only had one mini left to paint, so I didn't get to any other games but Mass Effect 3, and I played a little Streets of Rage 4. But that's it, man. And I don't know. I'm ready to play something slightly different than Mass Effect 3, and I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know. I'm ready for something new. Jake, what are you playing?
Well, just a little quick sidebar. I would suggest Resident Evil 4 Remake if you're looking for a new game, because I played the demo for that.
Yeah.
And it's like literally 2 seconds long. It's very short, but it reminds me of playing the original, but it just seems so good. So I don't know if I'll pick it up right away because I have played the original, but it's getting very good reviews. Like I think it's at like a 93 right now on Metacritic. So I figured that this game would either get really good reviews or really bad reviews because of the nostalgia factor, I guess. But I mean, it seems pretty good, and they honestly putting modern controls in it and everything, and it's kind of like reminds me a lot of Resident Evil 2 remake, and it's just, man, that game is so good. So I would highly recommend it. The demo, I know a lot of people like maybe don't want to play the demo because they don't want to spoil the game for themselves or whatever, which is fine. I mean, I don't think the demo really tells you anything, but if you've never played any kind of third-person Resident Evil game before and you're kind of interested in what it's like before you go ahead and buy it, maybe it's worth it. But like I said, I literally got through the demo in like 20 minutes and probably half of that was like cutscenes and stuff. So it's not like it was basically just showing you kind of what the game looks like.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So I did that like late last night. It was like after I got home from hockey. So it was probably like midnight when I played that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I haven't been able to play very many games this week. So just because I've been working super long hours, but I have been just chipping away at Hogwarts still, and I unlocked all of the spells, so I don't know how far into the game I am, but I have to imagine that I'm like probably 2/3 of the way through it, and I think that I should be able to finish it up hopefully in another 2 or 3 weeks, depending on what my schedule is like. And then I don't know that I've really gotten a chance to play hardly any GT7 since the last time we played.
Yeah.
But that would have been the only other thing that I would have played. So nothing really new to report other than playing the RE4 demo. I did consider, because I was listening to some content about what the fuck is the new Destiny expansion called? Lightfall or something? Yeah. So I've been listening to some stuff about that, and it kind of got my kind of feelings up for Destiny, like wanting to jump back in. Like that game is fun to just kind of jump in and run around and shoot shit for a while and just kind of have fun when you're not like between games or something. At least for me. So I thought about booting it up because a lot of times, and this kind of annoys me, if I have a game installed on my console, it should always be updated. Oh, but sometimes games will not install if you haven't or update if you haven't started them in a while. And so I might boot that up this evening just so it'll install the fucking update for it. Because I am interested in I like the imagery of the new expansion. So I don't know if I'm going to pick it up right away, but I kind of want to see what's going on in the world and what kind of new missions and stuff. Because they'll at least let you play the like the intro mission to the campaign. They always like give that out as a freebie, and then if you want to play the rest of it, you can buy up or whatever. But the other thing that I wanted to kind of bring up real quick just before we kind of jump in is that we had talked about last week. I think it was Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition.
Yes.
I haven't heard anything about. I was suggesting to players that like that game is really good, and maybe this is a point where you could jump in or whatever. That was prior to release. Apparently, it's really fucked up. So, and like a lot of people are just playing the original version of it because they're two different SKUs. So, I don't know. I've heard this about the PC version. I don't know about the PS5 version. So. Hopefully nobody out there went and bought Spacer's Choice Edition off of my say-so and then found out that it's totally fucked. If you did, my apologies. Hopefully you can get a refund or something. But I do maintain that the original game is still very good. So anyway.
All right. Well,
that's all I got.
Very good. Thanks for being transparent. What we normally do is dive into listener feedback, and there was some feedback that dude, in my fucking fever pitch dreaming weirdness of all last week, which is a blur, I Played by Ken had written in on our Patreon, and I felt like, man, like he did a lot of stuff to have us try out Gran Turismo 7 with the ability to share content and stuff. And he doesn't have a VR headset as far as I know, but he had recorded some content, I think, of some gameplay of him. And in the gameplay, you can shift your chair or the view. You know what I mean? When you're watching somebody else's playthrough, you can sit in the seat, you can watch from afar, you can watch, different views. So he did a lap around a couple different tracks, I think, and he titled it like PS This Is Awesome, PSTIA or something. He wanted us to pull that up and see if we could essentially in VR relive his lap around the race, because he didn't record it in VR. And he was like, it was kind of, and he mentioned it would be kind of like him taking us for a lap around the track, which is actually exactly what that would be like. It'd be really cool. But I admittedly have felt like shit, and I haven't even gotten into that lately. But Played by Ken, I hear you, and we're going to try this. So I'll let you know. I'll give you
yeah, I feel bad too, because like I said, I haven't played very much at all this week because of work. So it just kind of the cards fell kind of funny this week. So we'll try to do it
before
over the next couple
episode.
Days, so we can get back at you next week.
Yeah. So we hear you, and Played by Ken, I believe, is a patron. So we definitely aren't ignoring you, dude. But yeah, so One Black Talon writes in, and you were talking about GT7 on the last episode, Jake, a little bit. and you were talking about some sort of shifting or something, and One Black Talon writes in and says, I think the term Jake was thinking of when shifting is called heel and toe. We're talking about using 2 feet, right, for racing and driving and stuff. Is there? I don't know the reference exactly, but I know it came up on the show.
I think he's referring to when I was talking about how like pro race car drivers actually use 1 foot to control the gas and the brake at the same time,
be it.
So that they can shift and stuff. And maybe this is what he's referring to. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Cool. Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah. And then Played by Ken did write in 4 days ago and about our last episode, which was 267. And we had a big long conversation, Jake, you and I, about, some of the fuckedness that Gran Turismo 7 is after being so gushing about it. And he said, we said they're also kind of sick over there. So yeah, I hope you guys are feeling better, Played by Ken. But he said, you guys are standing right on the edge of the rabbit hole that is, quote unquote, everything wrong and terrible with GT7. And he says, careful how closely you look in. Some things once seen can't be unseen. To answer a few of your Gran Turismo 7 questions. The roulette, despite showing a 1 in 5 chance, is heavily weighted. It's definitely coded to have the least valuable item weighted at around 90% and the best item at 0.5%. It's such a dishonest practice that it infuriates many. Next point he writes is starting last. Rolling start with leader halfway around the track already is one of their ways of hiding the game's issues. As it's also a last-gen game, the PS4 can't keep a good frame rate with too many AI cars close together, so they have to space them out. The AI also is set to use a lot of rubber banding. If you slow down, they start driving slower too, and you can notice the leaders start to drive a little faster once you finally catch them. There's a lot more to it, but to keep it short, they're covering up shortcomings of the AI and game performance while also trying to make you feel successful every race. And then he says a solution to this is go to a track and at the bottom, choose custom race. Then you can configure your own race, including standing grid start with all the cars together. You can even choose to race against cars from your own in-game garage. And he said the game looks great, drives well, VR clearly successful. But once you start looking under the hood, you find a lot of problems. Did you know if you were to use microtransactions to buy just one of the most expensive cars in the game, it would cost you $200 US. That's not a typo. $200 real money for one car. Anyway, if you have a PC, find yourself Streets of Rage Remake. It's a free fan project and it's awesome. Look it up here on YouTube. Thanks, Played by Ken, man. Always really love when you write the show and you have all this good info, man. So thank you for that. Our listeners truly appreciate it as well.
Fucking look bad.
What's that?
I said making us look bad.
No, dude, he knows what's up. He's the Gran Turismo dude.
No, that's awesome. I really appreciate I kind of had some inklings about, like, I didn't know about the whole I didn't think about the whole performance angle when it comes to the rolling start, because rolling starts are common in car racing, so it's not like it's out of the ordinary. What was bugging me is that is that you're starting last every time. And it makes sense that at a rolling start, if you were in the middle of the pack, the screen would be fucking full of cars. And it could cause performance issues on PS4. So I can totally understand that. They should have like a mode. I don't know. They obviously can't change it for... I'm honestly not that... Getting a little schizophrenic here. I'm honestly not that upset with the rolling start thing. Or even like the starting last thing. It's just annoying that I have to like fly. Like, part of the difficulty is just getting around essentially lappers. They're not literally lappers, but it's like they're just pylons that you're driving around, and they make an obstacle, which makes it hard for you to catch the people that are actually fast in the front. But yeah, I totally agree. The whole microtransaction element of this game is absolutely insane. I mean, I cannot imagine paying $200
for anything
for a fucking fake car that you drive around a track in virtual reality or in like not virtual reality, but like in a video game. But all of that said, the VR experience of actually driving the cars around the tracks is fucking A tier. So it's such a dichotomy of feelings with like the game, because it's so fun to play in VR especially, but there are, I mean, he's hit the nail on the head. There's just all of these like these things that I can understand that only like the hardcore GT fans would really notice
when you start looking under the hood,
and
right?
Have problems with it, you know. And it's very, very interesting. So, yeah, keep writing in, man. That's an interesting point, and I still love the game. I'm still gonna keep playing it, but based on the way that it's going, like I could definitely see there being a point where I'm just like, you can't go any further without contributing to some of this shit, and I'm just gonna be out at that point. And so because I'm not a big online guy, so I think that that's going to get in my way a little bit too.
We still need to rip around though on the track online with VR headsets.
Yeah, I do think it would be cool to do like a race between like you and I and fucking put it on YouTube or something. I think that would be kind of interesting.
It'd be fucking rad.
But anyway, cool.
All right,
Thanks,
cool.
man.
Well, let's get into the news. It was a very mild week, this week of news, and we're going to start with some sad news if you haven't heard. But before we get into the news, just keep in mind that I'm not feeling well and we're kind of tired. So this episode, we might be shortchanging you a little bit, but we'll try to keep it as long as it needs to be. At least we're being open about it. I'm just kind of like still gross feeling, but I'm on the mend. And but let's get into it. So the first news point, like I said, is kind of sad and out of nowhere. Lance Reddick, has died. For those who don't know who Lance Reddick is, first off, condolences to his family and everybody involved in that guy's life. Lance was best known for his longtime acting pedigree in films with roles in John Wick, The Wire, Bosch, and more. But he was widely known in the gaming world as SYLENS from Horizon. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the DLC, Jake, that both you and I thought would have been probably the most interesting thing they could have done for Horizon is now probably never going to happen now that SYLENS has passed away.
Well, I mean, I have to imagine the DLC is basically done already. His voice acting stuff would have
Do you think
finished.
he's in it?
Yeah, I guarantee you. Unless they weren't using the SYLENS arc as the DLC.
Right.
And they're doing something else, then the thing that I'm wondering about is how they're going to do the third game. Because
do they recast him?
It seems like he was going to play a major role in the third game, as his character had kind of made a more altruistic decision than you would have expected at the end of the game, even though he's still kind of a dick. But I am really kind of saddened by this because he was also, for those of you that don't know, probably even bigger than his role as SYLENS. He plays Zavala in Destiny. Okay. Which is the leader of I think he's the leader of the Titans.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And he's a blue guy. It's really too bad. I mean, he was such a talented actor, voice actor and traditional actor. And I think he's gonna be missed in the industry for sure.
Yeah, young 60, wasn't very old in the scheme of things, really. It's kind of strange, and we're not going to get into the coroner's report and stuff. I have no idea what happened with the guy. I think they said natural causes though, so just kind of sucks.
It just goes to show, do what you love while you can, because you never know how long you have.
Yeah,
and I get a lot of shit from my boss about stuff like playing hockey and riding motorcycles and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I understand that there's an element of risk there, but it's like with hockey specifically, it's like I don't want to be fucking 70 and look back and be like, oh, well, or maybe pass away younger than that or something, and like look back on my deathbed and be like, oh, I wish I had done this, or I wish I had done that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, sucks.
Carpe diem.
60's so young now. Like it's incredible to hear about someone dying that young. I mean, your parents are older than 60,
yeah,
right?
dude.
I know.
I'll be 60 in 19 years.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's young as fuck. Like when you're in your 40s, like 60 is like just around the corner. It's kind of scary to think, you know. I don't know. My family has a terrible history of heart issues and stuff. And yeah, my dad's dad went at 53. My father has a couple stents. You know, so I'm just like, man, I feel like I'm on borrowed time all the time. So that's why I do so much shit. I do the music, I do the podcast, I do the gaming stuff. I'm working nonstop, you know, writing, putting out records, got 2 bands. Like, that's the thing. Do what you love. You don't know when it's going to be taken from you. So on a more bummer news, how about? And this one really kind of caught me off guard. And Jake, you've issued an apology to the listeners. I guess I don't need to issue an apology because I didn't tell anyone to buy this fucking game. But, dude, Switchback VR by Supermassive Games. Man, it's like one of those dark coaster games where it's on rails and it's supposed to be super scary. They're using like the scenery and stuff from the Dark Pictures anthology. Dude, it is getting fucking reviewed terribly. For the PSVR 2, and one of the big issues is that people just say that this game looks so jank. It doesn't look great. The visual fidelity is pretty low. It just has jump scares. It's short, like 4 hours long. You know, I don't know, man, but like, you get on Reddit and you see people who are like, oh yeah, I love the first one. This one's just more of the same. But like, it should be a visual upgrade from the first one. You would think. Like, why would they not
I would think so.
Why would you not try to harness the power of the new PSVR 2? And the thing that's interesting about this is Supermassive came out and released a statement. And I'm going to read the statement real quick because I thought this was really weird. It says, since the launch of Switchback VR yesterday, we have seen and heard the feedback that some players are experiencing graphical issues in the game. First off, I don't believe it's graphical issues. I think it's that the fucking graphics suck. and now they're saying Switchback VR was developed exclusively for PSVR 2, and we want to ensure that all of our players have the best possible experience while playing. The Switchback VR team have been investigating the issues raised as a matter of urgency. So far, a potential cause of the reported blurring has been identified, with other issues still undergoing testing and reproduction. While the team continue to investigate these issues, we welcome additional reports via our Zendesk portal. We appreciate your patience and understanding in the meantime. And please rest assured that we will share additional communications regarding these issues when more information is available. So what's really strange to me is, like, do these companies not fucking play it? Like, if it was developed exclusively on VR2, did they not play this? Because, like, the first game, man, what the hell was it called? It wasn't Switchback. It was, you remember what their...
wasn't it called like Rush of Blood or something? Yeah,
Rush of Blood, and it did really well on PSVR. Again, though, the graphics, it wasn't the standout game because it was graphical. It was just like done really well. It was made really well. So my guess is that they probably just used the same old fucking engine, and we're like, people like the first one so much, let's just do it again with new characters. It's just, you know, I from what I understand is there are choices you can make, which I thought was a really great idea. So, like, you go through a part, right? And then you have a choice to go left or right. And you can choose one, and then you get to see what that path leads. And when you're done, it pulls out and it shows you a map, and it shows you all the areas you didn't take the coaster through so that you can go back and try it that way. And then while you're riding the coaster, they do have hidden targets and stuff that unlock stuff and, you know, mini games inside the coaster. So this could be a multitude of things. This could be individuals who were just maybe gobstopped by the first game because it was one of its kind. It's been compared to kind of like the old school. What were those games called? The shooting games or the Evil Dead games or something like that, like in the arcades where you just had the guns and you just shot zombies.
Oh, like Area 51 and stuff?
Yeah, maybe like that. Sure. Like stuff like that. It's been compared to those kind of games, except it's way more immersive because you're in VR. But, you know, in the original game for VR, Rush of Blood, the blacks weren't very dark. It did seem a little... Even though you were in there, it felt like you were kind of still looking at a screen in a way. Like, you know, they should have improved on those things. And I think the problem is that people going in and playing this game, and I haven't played it, so just take my word for whatever. But if I took an educated guess, people not knowing what the game was, playing it, and being like, this isn't fucking Call of Mountain. This isn't Resident Evil VR. Like, this is 4 hours? What the fuck? This is $30? It's 4 hours? That's all the longer the first game was. I don't think that they're trying to sell you the game because it's a long game, but some of the reviews that I read were like ripping on how short the game was. But I don't think that's where the fun is. I think the fun is in the scares and in the roller coaster thing, them putting you in situations where you can't really get out of the cart to run away and things come at you and it's kind of spooky, right? That's supposed to be kind of what it is. But I think that the visual fidelity... Man, I saw some video and it doesn't look good. And it's like, what the fuck were they doing? I want to play this game. There's no demo for it. I want to play this game, but I'm not going to buy it right now. No way. Not after all of the smattering that it took from reviews. Do you have anything to say about this, Jake? Did you play the first one?
No, I didn't play the first one. It didn't really interest me all that much, to be honest, but to me, this just seems like they were just lazy about it.
Yeah.
I don't think that and I'm really not trying to, for all I know, they worked really hard on it. And usually what this boils down to is them releasing something before it's ready or whatever. But like, I don't have an issue with the game's length. 4 hours in VR is fucking plenty, especially when they're jump scaring the shit out of you and you have like branching paths you can go back and redo or whatever. Like that's totally fine. But the fact that it like looks and or plays like garbage, like that's a problem in VR. Like it's got to at least look acceptable. Like even if it's not like photorealistic, it needs to at least look stylistically good. You can't like be dropping a turd on this brand new headset that has all this capability. I don't know. It seems like Supermassive has been really kind of fumbling a little bit since the release of Until Dawn, which is interesting. I know you're a big fan of the Dark Pictures stuff, but
one of the few. Yeah,
I was gonna say, as a whole, I mean, I haven't played anything of theirs since Until Dawn, but I just hate to see. To me, the fact that they released a statement tells me that they got caught with their pants down, and I don't know how to feel about it. Because, like, who published this game? Do you have any idea?
I'm looking here. Supermassive. They self-published.
They self-published it? So, like, I don't know. Maybe the first game, Sony gave them some money to kind of get it on PSVR or whatever, because they were involved with the funding of Until Dawn. And maybe this one was just self-published, so they just kind of put whatever they felt like they should put into it. But to be clear, I am making all of these statements having not looked at any footage of the game, so I have no idea how bad it is. But it is kind of weird.
Some of the so the Push Square review, the only pros that it gave was that there were pinpoint controller tracking. a good use of haptic feedback, and some memorable moments. The cons that Push Square listed are long levels start to drag, lackluster combat encounters, blurry, unpolished presentation, pace sapping puzzle sequences. Oh, all a bit boring, to be honest. And then it says quite expensive at launch, and enemies are unaffected by your attacks. Gave it a 4 out of 10.
I don't know that $30 is asking too much for this, but I will say that
I don't know what it costs. I have to look it up. I assumed it was 30. Do we?
Okay, if it is 30, I don't think it's that much. If it's more than that,
I'm gonna look it up right now.
But the red flag that he kind of put out there, that I assume it's a he who did this review.
Sammy Barker.
So, which really doesn't tell me anything, because Sammy could be a boy or a girl, or
it's $40. Yeah. It's $39.99.
It's a little husky for this kind of experience, but I don't think it's out of the realm of reasonability either. But what I was getting at is that the red flag that I really heard in what you stated was, why the fuck are there puzzle sequences in this game? People literally want to ride a roller coaster and shoot shit. That's all they want to do in this game if they buy it. They don't want to sit. Like, I don't understand why. It's like
every game has to have a puzzle.
Video game developers. Every game has to have puzzle sequences, and I think it's a way for them to artificially manufacture game length. It's like, okay, well, the game's only 3 hours if we don't have these puzzles, so let's put these fucking puzzles in and make them struggle for a bit, so it takes them 4 hours to beat.
Dude,
and it's like, okay, well, that would piss me off.
Well, the video review,
there's a lot of shit I don't want to do.
Yeah, the video review that I saw on this game, the only puzzles they talked about was that you can get a flare gun, and you have to hit certain targets with the flare gun to open up the door. So I don't know if it's a thing where like bad guys keep coming until you hit all the targets with the flare gun. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you got to do this. It's like a skill test. It's also kind of like a puzzle. I don't know. But I'm kind of disappointed. But I mean, they say the boss fights are kind of lame. Like, they're just like bullet sponges, and their attacks are kind of lame and weird. So they are kind of digging into the gameplay a little bit, you know. They say here, Rush of Blood was the VR version for the first VR. I have noticed a huge fucking trend in reviewers with Supermassive Games comparing every goddamn thing they do to Until Dawn and the success of Until Dawn. Now, if you've played The Quarry, you would argue this is an issue of what came first, Until Dawn or The Quarry, right? So Until Dawn left the impression. Had The Quarry come first, they would be saying that Until Dawn couldn't hold a match to The Quarry. Those games are 1-to-1, both really well made. And I would even argue that, like, not the most recent Dark Pictures Anthology episode, because I haven't played it, but the third one was really, really good. And I think The Quarry is standout. And a lot of us should be able to play it now if you're PS Plus Premium. So it's going to be on that. Or is it Extra? It's Plus.
Extra, I think. I think as long as you have the Extra tier, you can get it.
Yes. So it's going to be on Extra. And it's great. So the conclusion on Push Square, this is why I bring this up. It says, Until Dawn continues to elude Supermassive. That's what they started off with. Now, coming from a musician that used to be on a label that was ran by the guys in Hawthorne Heights, every fucking review of our record started off talking about Hawthorne Heights, not our fucking band. And it's like, why are we bringing up Until Dawn and not just talking about this game for what it is? So it says, Until Dawn continues to elude Supermassive, and now even Rush of Blood appears out of reach. Switchback VR is a scruffy game. It fails to match up to its well-liked PSVR predecessor, delivering low-budget visuals, lousy combat encounters, and some pretty low energy level design. There are a handful of memorable moments, and some may find fun in the jump scares, but this should and could have been so much more. I don't disagree, having not even played the game, that, you know, the bar was set when they had success with the first Rush of Blood game. But why are you comparing it to Until Dawn? I know it was called Until Dawn Rush of Blood. But
I mean, they're not comparing it to Until Dawn. They're just saying that they're implying that they haven't been able to make a game with the same impact as Until Dawn since that release.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Quarry fucking is great. Anyways, I don't know, but I do obviously in very awaredly have some sort of weird affinity for supermassive games, but this does piss me off because I was really excited for this game, and fuck, man, I don't know. I'm not gonna buy it. I'll get it on a sale. It'll go on sale in like a month or two probably, and if not now, around Halloween. But just so you guys know, this was on my list to buy for VR, and it has now fallen off the list because of these reviews. Even though I feel like they are a little tilted and slanted, I do think that the graphics suck. We had expectations higher for the graphics. They didn't really do very well with that. And some of their games like Medan and shit, like the graphics aren't great in there, but they say like the enemy movements and stuff in this Switchback VR are just fucking janky looking. Like they don't, they look like, remember those old games on like console where they tried to make things look like real life and all it was actually just like a movie?
Oh yeah, I can't remember what they called it.
Phantasmagoria was one, I think. Sega CD might have had that game. There were some games.
They were called like VFR games or something like that. I can't remember what you're talking. It was something like that.
I have the impression that some of the enemies in this game just look like that, and they're not like really realized and rendered. There's just like this weird like motion capture that just, I don't know. Fuck it. I don't even care. I haven't played it. I've watched a lot of videos on it, but who the fuck am I until I play it? I'll tell you when I play it what I think of it, because I will play it eventually, just not now. All right, let's get to the next news point. Techland, right? Techland, the people who did, what the fuck was it called? Dying Light 2? 52...
Yeah.
40, yeah. So they did Dying Light 2. They came out of the gates with a tweet and they said, hey, we're working on a narrative-driven fantasy epic with an open world ready to explore. And it's kind of exciting because I like it when studios kind of jump outside of their wheelhouse. But are they a little early on announcing this? Is this why Dying Light got held back for so long? Wait, didn't Dying Light have a ton of different developers also?
No, that was Dead Island.
Dead Island, sorry, I get these two confused. Okay, so all right, so the makers of Dying Light 2 then are working on an
open world fantasy game, which is interesting. I am definitely interested to see what they can do. I think they could be successful in this space because a lot of the combat in the Dying Light games are these like custom made fucking melee weapons that you make. So like they could easily probably make a fantasy-esque kind of game, and I'd be interested to see what kind of game that is. It's kind of wild to me that like it used to be that in the first person space, the only game in town in open world fantasy was the Elder Scrolls. And now after Starfield, we'll be getting the Elder Scrolls 6. And also Obsidian is making Avowed, which is in the same vein. And now it looks like Techland is going to make, a similar kind of game, which is interesting that we're getting this kind of, I'm not saying that's a ton of games. It's going to be across many, many years, but it's cool to see. Like I always like to see this kind of game, and I'll be interested to see what they come up with, because I heard that there was a lot of bug issues with Dying Light 2 when it came out. I think that it's mostly remedied at this point, and I've heard otherwise it's pretty good, but I know that I loved the first one. So at some point I'd like to get to it, but we'll just have to see where the cards fall, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting. I think the main thing, and if we were going to do like a show topic, which we're not going to do today, but would be just like if we think it's a good thing or not for studios to kind of venture outside of their wheelhouse, right? When taking on new IP, like, you know, we see the last Naughty Dog staying, you know, while the content of their games are different. The Uncharted games and the Last of Us games, it's still very much their wheelhouse, story driven, third person, you know, that kind of thing. You know, and they know what they're good at, so they lean into it. But I mean, I don't know. I like to see studios take a leap. You know what I mean? And just fucking try something way different. Not that this is necessarily way different than Dying Light, but it's different enough, I think. I don't know. I think it'll be cool. I don't know. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's always nice to see developers branch out for sure.
Yeah, it's a risky move, but it shows confidence. All right, next news point here is Far Cry. Jake, you played Far Cry 5. I almost said 4. And they're getting a patch to have this game run at 60 frames per second. It's exciting for a lot of people. I fell asleep last night watching YouTube, and I woke up to this guy talking about every Far Cry game ever made. And he was going into detail about the development cycles and why things are better and what characters should have been fleshed out that weren't, and why the one game was only made in 2 years. And like he was fucking all in, like an hour and a half of him talking about Far Cry. And he knew his fucking shit. And I don't know who it was, but I kind of woke up and then I fell back asleep. And I woke up and I fell back asleep. And, you know, every time I wake up, he's on a different fucking Far Cry game. I'm like, oh, all right. You played 5, right?
Yeah, 5's my favorite. I think 5 is so good. I mean, I love 3. Don't get me wrong. I actually really liked 2. I actually really liked the first one, to be honest, even though it's completely different. But I will say that of all of them, my personal favorite is Far Cry 5, just because I love the setting. I love the atmosphere. I love like the rural mountain region of America. I love this religious backstory. I love like all of this stuff. I love like the wild ending, everything about it. So
let me ask you real quick: is this the game? Because I woke up and he's talking about a game, and he was saying as soon as you get the helicopter, the game's broken. And then he was also saying something about in this version of Far Cry. I don't remember which one it was, but there's a mechanic that propels the story forward. It's like you get tranked by the bad guy or something, and then you show up, like you wake up or something, like, and you're like there. It like one of the bad guys. Is that this game?
That's like there's a lot of games where that happens.
Far Cry
pretty much every Far Cry game, at some point you get knocked out and then you wake up and you're like with the bad guy.
Yeah.
At some point. And then you escape and then you have to fight him again at some like it's just like that happens in all of the ones that I've played. So
okay.
I don't really know specifically which one you're talking about.
I don't know either.
I mean, I can understand someone maybe thinking that the helicopter breaks the game, but they all have helicopters and stuff. So I guess I would need more context. But that said, I do really, really like Far Cry 5. It's kind of surprising to me that it's taken this long for them to get a 60 FPS patch for it. But that said, I will always advise anyone interested in maybe doing a Far Cry to do 5.
Okay.
But I mean, if you want like what people like the quintessential open world Far Cry experience, everyone says it's the best one, then play like the re-release, the remaster of 3. But if you want to play Jake's favorite, play 5, because I think it's awesome.
And then for the listeners, and for me maybe a little bit too, as far as I understand, none of these games are tied to one another, right?
You are correct. I'm trying to think. There may be like little elements in the games that kind of call back to each other, sort of like Final Fantasy and stuff like that, but nothing really that is of consequence.
Okay. Cool. So you can hop in wherever you want. So anyways, new patch for the Far Cry 5 game. And I like how I put a "the" in front of Far Cry 5 for the Far Cry. Can I? This I sound like a parent, like at the store. Can I buy the Far Cry 5? All right, let's move on to the next one. Sorry, I'm trying to get these timestamps written down here while I'm thinking and talking and writing. Anybody who has PS Plus Extra, which we have, Jake. I know a lot of people bought up and have it now. March is going to be giving us even more freebies to be playing, and good ones at that. We kind of went over some of these, but not all of these. So I just want to remind the listeners, there's one on here that I'm real excited about that I don't think was on the list last time. That brand new game, Chia, that came out, TCHIA, not to be confused with Chia Pets. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection will be available to play. Immortals Phoenix Rising, which Jake is bonkers about. Rainbow Six Extraction, which I would love to actually learn how to play. Ghostwire Tokyo, which I have heard is kind of a sleeper hit. You know, people I think are now saying Ghostwire Tokyo is like really, really good. The general consensus. Now, this is the one I really want to play. Life is Strange True Colors. I really like the Life is Strange games. I'm excited that that's out now for me to download and play. Life is Strange 2, which was a good game. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Now, here comes another one. Street Fighter V Champion Edition. I will get into some Street Fighter V. Untitled Goose Game. Not really interested. Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. Rage 2 on the PS4. Not a bad one. Neo, The World Ends With You. And Haven. It's a nice list of games for Plus members. Plus extra members, I should say.
I was actually thinking about downloading the Legacy of Thieves collection and replaying through Uncharted 4 because I haven't played it in a long time.
Yeah, dude.
And I kind of want to revisit it and see how my opinion of it has changed, if it has changed. Because I played through the first 3 like once every couple of years just because I enjoy those games so much. But I couldn't tell you the last time I played Uncharted 4. So I'd be interested to kind of check that out again. As always, I like Immortals Phoenix Rising. I really want to play Ghostwire Tokyo. That might be a soon to play for me. And to be honest, that new game Chia does look cool.
Yeah, it does.
So I don't know. I might look into it a little bit. We'll have to see. I want to see some more content about it. But it does look pretty interesting, kind of like a more of a lighthearted kind of experience, which is something that I need from time to time.
I agree.
But yeah, this is a pretty awesome list.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about new games now that are coming out this week. And then we're going to wrap things up pretty soon afterwards.
Did you see, I know you didn't have it on the list here, but did you see that apparently famed Sony executive Shuhei Yoshida is being awarded the BAFTA Fellowship?
No, I didn't know
which
that.
Which is like the UK's highest honor for like the Society of Film and Arts and Television or whatever.
Good for him.
Yeah, like the other gaming people that have won it are like Hideo Kojima and I'm trying to think of who else won it, but like other people that have won it that people know are like Alfred Hitchcock and fucking Stanley Kubrick and Charlie Chaplin. So like he won an award with like he's in in kind of like god tier company as far as the arts are concerned in the UK, which is interesting because he's a beloved figure in the Sony space, and we kind of haven't seen much of him in the past 3 or 4 years since Herman Hulst took over as the lead of Sony Worldwide Studios. So it's cool to see him kind of honored in this way, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome news. I did see something about it, but I didn't put it in the notes. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe for just trying to, I don't know. Maybe I meant to. But yeah, very good. Thanks for bringing that up. Let's talk about new games. New games coming out this week. March 14th, Happy Basuday. I don't know what that means. The Legends of Heroes, Trails to Azure, The Wreck, and Vernal Edge. March 15, we're getting Blade of Darkness, Kung Fury, Street Rage, Jesus, Ultimate Edition, Tricky Thief, and Woken Lords of Mayhem. March 16th, Alice Gear Aegis CS, Concerto of Simulatrix. It's a fucking mouthful. Anno 1800 Console Edition, Arcade Archives, Thunder Scepter 2, Arise, A Simple Story, Backbeat, Chenzo Club, Gorn for PSVR 2, which I think is like an arena fighting game or something. My Little Prince, A Jigsaw Puzzle Tale, Post Void, and The Dark Pictures Switchback. March 17th, Anti-Gravity Racing, Demon Hunter Chronicles from Beyond, Faircroft's Antiques, The Mountaineer's Legacy, First Time in Paris, Montgomery Fox in the Case of the Diamond Necklace, and Montgomery Fox in the Case of the Missing Ballerinas. Peppa Pig World Adventures, The Guys, and WWE 2K23. So those are your games. Don't really have anything to say about any of those.
No, to be honest with you, I almost like want to just quit reading them on the show.
Yeah.
Because like most of these games nobody cares about. And I sorry, that's hyperbole. Obviously there are people that probably care about every single one of these games. But it's like every week we read fucking 30 games and we've only heard of maybe 2 of them.
But I will say this.
Or if it's been like a wild week, maybe 5 of them.
I agree mostly with the sentiment, but I do think there have been games that even we, Jake, have been surprised when we've been drawn to look into them. And we're like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. That looks kind of cool. Like we've had a couple of those moments, and just for the sake of having those moments, I think that we must continue. Because you never know. Our listeners might have forgotten and had their, something was on their radar. And then we can just like, oh, by the way, this is coming out. You know what I mean? We can say, hey, this is coming out. Or this has been released. I don't know, dude. We can get into the closing. I don't really have a whole lot that I want to close off with, except apologies first and foremost that there wasn't a whole lot to talk about, and I've not been playing a lot of games. Now, I don't feel obliged to play PlayStation games because we do the podcast. We've talked about that, but I like to have something new to talk about for the listeners and with you. I like to discuss new things, and Mass Effect 3 has really chewed through a lot of my life lately, and I'm getting to the point where I kind of want to just move things along. I'm fast forwarding through some of the dialogue at this point. I've got the captions up, so I'm reading real fast, and boom, reading it before they can say it.
Yeah.
Just trying to get through it. And I'll save my commentary on that for the Mass Effect 2 and 3 podcast we're going to do. And I have every intent on beating Moss 2 this week. I have a lot of intentions on getting some parts of my bathroom ready for the renovation. And I have a lot of intentions on getting the music shit together and finishing up vocals on the record. And, this podcast has always been a labor of love. We like to talk about video games. We are very happy that everybody is along for the ride with us who've decided to jump in. And, I don't know. I feel that we definitely are beholden to doing it every week. And, I just wish there was more to talk about this week. But maybe that'll change next week. Pretty lackluster week in news.
Yeah, the last couple weeks have been kind of slow. I mean, if anybody's interested, on the Xbox side, they announced the Starfield release date for September this year. So that's cool for me personally. But as far as like PlayStation news, we're kind of in a smidgen of a drought here. I have to imagine sometime in the next couple of months, we're going to see hopefully a state of play or something to kind of announce some new stuff. But until then, we kind of have to just, if we don't want to talk about fucking Activision Blizzard, we'll have to just keep talking about, whatever else we can find. So,
yeah. So, I don't know. Thanks for tuning in, listeners. Have a nice week this week. We'll be back next Monday with more PlayStation conversation. And that wraps up episode 268. And maybe I'm being a little hard on us right now, but it was not my favorite episode. But I'm still a little under the weather. So that's where I'm at in life. But yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else. I popped 1,000 silver trophies, man. Share us your trophies. Let us know what you got. Oh, I was gonna say real quick you talked about doing the Uncharted 4. Speaking of trophies, that is the only Uncharted game I have not platinumed.
Yeah, same here. It had some annoying trophies that I just didn't feel like doing. Mm-hmm. That's why I didn't get the platinum in that one.
Dude, Lost Legacy was really bad. Did you platinum that one?
It's just annoying to have to do. Just having to redo that open world part was just super fun.
Dude, you have to drive from one end to the other
in like 2 seconds. Yeah, that part sucked.
Yeah, it took me quite a while. Anyways, let's let everybody go. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next Monday, like I said before. So like Valkyria Chronicles, or is that Valkyrie? Valkyria.
No, it's Valkyria. I just spelled it wrong.
Valkyria Chronicles, Vampire, and Vanquish. P.S.
This
is awesome.
Is awesome.